Okay, so our last video was like this transitional, where are we going with this proportional relationship type of stuff? And we introduced slope, but didn't really get into the nitty-gritty parts of it. Okay, this video is how you find slope. Okay, so slope is, how steep a line is. Okay, some are flatter, some are, more vertical. Okay, before this, you should have watched the Slope Dude video. If you did not, please pause this and go back and watch that because that has to come first. Okay, but we are going to start our notes just copying down what Slope Dude's journey looks like. And Slope Dude, remember, always skis from left to right. So as we're looking at graphs, we determine what type of slope it has as we look from left to right. So if it starts low and then raises up as we go across, okay, that is a puff, puff positive. As we go downhill, left to right, that is the nice one. So that is our nice negative. When he skis the flat part, this is zero fun. And then when he falls off the cliff, this is hard for me. I'm probably just going to like literally turn my computer here. We have undefined. Okay, so just throwing a couple other words here. This is zero fun. That's that flat part. This would be horizontal. The horizontal line goes straight across flat. Okay, that is zero fun, so it has zero slope. Okay, when it is a line up and down like this one, this is what we call vertical. Okay, and that has a slope of undefined. So in general, okay, slope. Okay, there's a couple different ways we can say this, and we did say this in the other video, but they're important, so I'm going to reiterate it. Slope is rise over run. Okay, we could also say vertical change over horizontal change. And I'm also going to throw in that vertical change is the change in the y's over the change in the x's. So all different ways of talking about what this slope is. Okay, finding slope from a graph. If you can count boxes, you can do slope. Okay, there is a couple things to remember though, and it's mostly the signs that go along with the directions that we're going. So we're going to pick a point. We're going to go straight up or down until we're even with our second point. Okay, and that's the rise. That's the numerator of our fraction. Okay, but keep in mind that up is a positive direction, down is a negative direction. Okay, from there, we're going to go right or left until we get to that second point, and that's our run that goes in the denominator. But just like a number line, right is positive and left is negative. So in our graphs, okay, I happen to give us graphs where we don't have any points there, so we do have to find our points. Some graphs you look at will have the points given to you. Some graphs like these, you're going to have to find those good points to use. And we're going to find ones where it crisscrosses at that nice spot on the coordinate plane behind the line. Okay, so there's a point right here at -4, 0. There's another one here at -1, 2. And there's also a third one up here at 2, 4. Okay, and you can use any two of those. It does not matter, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, I'm gonna choose this one here and this one here. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna start at the bottom one. Once again, does not matter which one. I will show you, but we're gonna start at the bottom one, and we're gonna go up or down until we're even with our second point. So this one is going to go up 2. Up is a positive direction, so our rise is 2. From there, we start where we left off, and now we're going to go 3 spaces to the right to get to our other point. Right is a positive direction, so our run is 3. So remember, our slope is rise over run. Rise was 2, run is 3. It doesn't simplify, so that is our slope. Okay. If I had done, and you don't have to write this down, but I could have done from this point to that one. So our rise would have been 2. Our run would have been 3. Same thing. I'm going to erase these for a sec. I'm going to go from my first point to my last point. So that one's going to go up 4. So our rise is 4. And over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our run is 6. And in that case, 4 over 6 simplifies to 2 over 3. What if I had gone the other direction? Okay, so in this case, I'll start at this point up at the top here and go down to my middle one. Okay, but if I'm starting at the top one, I'm going to go down 2. And down is a negative, so I'll be a negative 2 for my rise. And then 3 left. Left is also a negative. So it ends up being negative 2 over negative 3. And negative divided by negative is still positive. So it does not matter which points you choose, rise or run, it's still going to be the same thing as long as you simplify in the end. I should have also mentioned that you should look at a graph before you start and decide, what type of slope is it going to have according to Slope Dude. Because if you know in this case it's going to be a positive slope, if you make a mistake with your signs and you end up with a negative, you know something is wrong. Okay. The next one, okay, Slope Dude would say nice negative, so we know it's going to be a negative slope. Let's find some points. So I see one there, I see one there, and I see one there. And it doesn't matter, I'm going to choose either two, or sorry, any two of the 3, but I'm going to start at this top point and go to the middle one. So I start by going down 2 in this case, and down is a negative direction. And then from there, 1, oh, I counted wrong. Sorry, guys. Okay, actually I'm going down 3. That's a negative 3. And then over 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. Right is a positive. So our slope here is negative 3 over 4. As long as there is one negative somewhere in that fraction, it means it's negative. So if you had done like the other way where we went up 3 first and then 4 to the left, your negative would have been there. Technically, your negative would have been in the denominator, but still the same thing, negative 3/4. And the last one, let's find some points. It's going to be a positive slope. I see a point there, there, and there. Okay, so our rise, pick this one. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 4, positive, and over 1 to the right, which is a positive 1. 4 over 1 ends up being a positive 4. If it ends up being a nice number like that, just write it as a nice number. You don't have to leave it as a fraction. In fact, we want to simplify things when we can. So that is finding slope from a graph. Once again, if you can count boxes, you're good. Now we're going to look at slope from ordered pairs. Now there is a slope formula. I'm going to write down the slope formula, okay? But you don't need to memorize the slope formula. Okay, so the slope formula comes from the fact that we call 2 ordered pairs x1, y1 and x2, y2. Those numbers there are called subscripts. They are not exponents. They're not floating at the top, okay, to show it's an exponent. There is nothing mathematical about them other than it's naming our 2 ordered pairs, okay? So from there, the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, because we said that it's vertical change over horizontal change. Change in the y's, change over change in the x's. How do we find change of something? We subtract. Now, it does not matter which ordered pair you start with, though. It's not like you have to look at example A and be like, okay, this is x1, y1, and x2, y2. No, you don't have to do that. In fact, it does not matter which one you start with, but whatever y you start with in the numerator, when you go down to the denominator to subtract your x's, you have to start with its x value. Okay, and I'll do a couple different ways so you can see here. Okay, but I look at example A and I know I have to subtract my y's. Okay, do I want to do 6 minus 3 or 3 minus 6? I personally would like to do 6 minus 3. So that's how I'm going to start this one. And since I started with that y in the denominator, I must start with that x. So on the denominator, it's going to be 3 minus 2. So subtract now, we get 3 over 1. And our slope is 3. That's it. In B, okay, we can do -2 minus -8 or -8 minus -2, does not matter, okay, because I started with the 6, I started with the first order pair in this first one, I'm going to start with the second order pair in this one. So I'm going to do -8 minus -2. So I started with that y, I'm going to start with that x. So 6 minus -6. So we always do subtraction. But now what's going to happen when we have minus and negative, it really changes into a plus. So this is going to become -8 plus 2 over 6 plus 6. Now, different signs, subtract your numbers, take the sign of what you have more of. We get -6 over 12. And in the end, our final answer that simplifies to -1/2. Okay. I do want to just go back to A actually real quick, okay, because I want to show you it works both ways. So we did 6 minus 3 first. If we had done 3 minus 6, so this y minus this y, we would have also then done 2 minus 3. We would have gotten -3 divided by -1. And a negative divided by a negative is still a positive. Okay, so just as long as you're doing the right thing with your signs, you're good. 2 more. Y minus y over x minus x. So here, they're the same. So this might be interesting. So I'm going to do 4 minus 4. Okay, and I'll say I started with that one. So in the denominator, we'll do 2 minus -3. So that's going to become 0 over 5, because this really becomes a 2 plus a 3 there. And 0 over 5 equals 0. A 0 divided by a number, as long as it's not 0, is always 0. So this actually refers back to this part of Slope Dude's journey. That it's not highlighting for me like I wanted it to. This part of Slope Dude's journey. So this would actually be a horizontal line if I happen to graph those points. Okay, but I do want to make a note, because you need to know the difference, that when 0 is in the numerator, your answer is 0 for your slope. And then for this one, subtract your y's on top, subtract your x's on the bottom. We get 5 minus 2 over 3 minus 3. It equals 3 over 0. And this is a big no-no in math. Okay, you cannot take a number and divide it by 0. You can't have 0 in the denominator of a fraction. And when you have 0 in the denominator of the fraction, that's actually called undefined. So that's where that word popped up, okay, for our vertical lines there, okay, because it ends up having no run at all and a 0 in the denominator. So when we have a 0 in the denominator, okay, that is, I'm going to abbreviate, that is when your answer is undefined. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of practice with this. Okay, when you're doing your graphs, pick 2 nice points, count your boxes up or down, and then left or right, which I know is opposite of how you usually graph ordered pairs. When we graph ordered pairs, we always go left or right, then up or down, but slope is up and down, and then left and right. Okay, with our ordered pairs, on top, subtract your y's, on bottom, subtract your x's. Okay, and make sure you simplify. We're going to say simplify any numbers. And we're also going to say simplify your signs, meaning if you have a negative over a negative, that's going to equal a positive answer in the end.